Hi, this is Dr. Catherine West, and I'm going to share with you some hot tips on how to use Google Docs 7th edition APA template to perfection. First, when you open a Google Docs, it will be blank, but you can use templates by clicking on File, New, and from Template Gallery. In the Template Gallery, there will be many different types listed. Depending on how wide your screen is, you'll find the APA 7th edition template somewhere in the middle. Click on that to open it. When you first open the template, you'll see the title page. And what's really important for you to notice as a student creating a student paper is that this template from Google Docs includes two templates in the same document. And you can see which one they are because it says for professional papers and then for student papers. We're going to look at that closer. What I've done here is highlighted for you in yellow where the professional paper information is that you do not need as writing a student paper. Professional papers are the ones that are submitted to journals for publication or are for the final dissertation for a doctoral project. So anything that says for professional papers in parentheses should be deleted from a student paper. Things that should be in a student paper, I've highlighted in green here so you can see. And then I've also included just a hot tip here that the full title of your paper is going to also show up on the first page of text. Now notice I went sailing by the abstract. It's for professional papers not needed in your student paper. And then here's your student paper. When we look down at the very end, there's a couple of problems though with the references, and I've highlighted what those problems are here. I'm not going to go into them in detail because I'm going to provide for you a prepared student template that has these corrections put in it. Let's take a quick look at the headings because those are always a little bit confounding, I think, at first. But basically your heading levels are like Roman numerals on an outline. You have Roman numeral 1, and then if you have two thoughts, separate topics under one, you indent and you number them A and B. And then you have your next main topic, it's a Roman numeral 2, and then A and B. And that's all the headings are doing. And everybody who knows these headings, when we are reading papers, will recognize that if the title has moved off to the left there, that the author is still discussing the last time the title was in the center. It's just signposts for the reader. Generally, you need at least 2 level 2 headings in order to use even one of them. So if you don't have enough different topics, then you don't need a level 2 heading at all. Just keep it all under level 1. You can read more about headings from the apastyle.apa.org website. When you go to their website, you'll see on every single one of their pages style and grammar guidelines. If you click there, you will get into their entire online guidebook. The page on headings is really nice because it does go into some of the explanation about when you can use level 2 and 3 and so on. But what's especially nice I want to call your attention to is this table that gives you a visual example of how the heading should be: bold, centered, and title case, meaning all the main words are capitalized. In fact, that was one of the things that 7th edition did to make it simpler from 6th edition, is that all the headings are now bold and title case. Where they show up on the page, flush left or indented, that depends on what level of the outline you're working on. And while we're talking about the apastyle.apa.org website, this is what their Style and Grammar Guidelines portal looks like. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there are 4 tiles followed by 4 more tiles with various topics grouped together. If you need to know something about how to format your paper, that would be this first tile right here. You can look at font. Here's the headings link. If you want to look at the order of pages or sample papers, I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Many times we come, though, to look at this tile on in-text citations. How do we cite all the different ways of acknowledging other experts? And then straight underneath that one is the references, because once you've cited something, it needs to go in the back of your paper, right? You can also see over here that there's a tile on grammar. Things like you can use they for a singular person now, or active voice is preferred. And then also we have mechanics of style, capitalization, punctuation, or bias-free language. All of this is under the Style and Grammar Guidelines page, apastyle.apa.org/style-grammar-guidelines. If we were to click on the sample papers, we get to this page, and this is where you can get templates directly from APA. This student sample paper is a PDF file that has all kinds of explanations in it. But then these two files are Word files, Microsoft Word, that have annotations as comments or without any annotations at all that you could use to become a template for yourself. But we're going to go back over to the Google Docs template and see what they have. So here we are back with the Google Docs 7th edition APA template with all of the professional paper references removed. And all that we're left with now is the student paper. Notice that there's the page number 1 starting on the first page. And if I double click in here, I can see that it's sitting above where my paper is written. It's in the header. So any additional pages, the 2 will be in the right place automatically. I just click out of the header and I'm back in the paper. Notice it says full title of your paper on the title page, and this gets repeated exactly word for word on the second page. Also on the title page is your name, your first name, middle initial, and last name. Then followed that is the name of your school or institution. Sometimes your school will want you to put your department or college there as well. Follow your own guidelines. Then the course number and name. The next line is the instructor's name. There should not be any initials after the instructor's name, but if they are an honorarium like professor or doctor, that can precede their name. And then finally, the date that the paper is due. When we come down here, we see the headings, and there's heading level 1, level 2, there's level 2, there's some 3s. And with a normal paper on research, it'll get into results and a discussion if you're writing a paper on analysis or a other academic writing. There's always going to be some sort of discussion, but APA always concludes with a conclusion. And they always use the word conclusion to make sure everybody knows you're at the end of the paper now. Many times students will get to the end of the rubric and finish the last item in the rubric up here and stop the paper. You need to go one more step, put in your conclusion, and write a paragraph about the takeaway message that you want your reader to have after reading your paper. In the references themselves, the references are sampled here. There's some sampling for you with the title of an article or an online journal article or the title of a web page or a web page written by a government or organization. So some samples there for you. The main thing is that from the original paper, they did not have italics here, and they include retrieve from. There's no retrieve from left in placing references from the internet anymore. There is a time where you will use retrieve from, and that's when you are citing data from a website that will change. If the website's not going to change, the article is published, no more retrieve from. Makes it easier, less things to write. Finally, I wanted to let you know about the handouts and guides on the APA style.apa.org website. Instructional aids, it's got its own link at the top of the page. And within it, you can find handouts and guides. And these handouts and guides are PDF files that you can print out and keep next to your computer. They're usually just a couple pages long. 1 or 2 pages. Some are only 1 page, but they're really nice to the things that you need to refer to frequently. You can store right there next to you. They do have the student paper checklist, which I highly recommend if you're a beginner with this. This one is very detailed. Or the student paper checklist concise guide, or the publication manual version. But if we look at the concise guide to finish off here, you can see it's 7 pages long, but it'll walk you through the student title page. What's the format? Do you have it double spaced? Do you have your title concise? And it just coaches you through each section of it. The paper format, the paper organization, what goes in what sequence, and a couple of things about grammar and bias-free language, punctuation. So everything is right here in a checklist. You can just refer to it whenever you write a paper and have a great outcome. So the handouts and guides again are from the websites. I hope you've enjoyed this, and here's to having some excellent APA formatting. Take care, be well, and be wonderful.